So it was a little bit tough, but the hats were the problem because the hats were so heavy that if you turned your head very fast, you couldn't stop.
Steve Martin wore many hats in this film. Actor, executive producer, and co-writer.
You know, the scenes, because they're so flawless, as they were written, you know, we got a chance to add lines here and there, but we had to stick with the structure pretty much. Otherwise, you change the movie.
What do you get when you put Martin Short and Chevy Chase and Steve Martin all together into one comedy? You get a very crazy movie called Three Amigos. Wherever there is injustice, you will find them. Wherever there is suffering, they'll be there. Wherever liberty is threatened, you'll find Steve Martin, Chevy Chase, and Martin Short.
Well, it's Moe,
Curly, and Shemp.
Well, not quite the Three Stooges, but in the new movie Three Amigos, you'll find these comedians bumbling around in real Stooges fashion.
There's a couple of scenes where we laughed so hard and it was always cut, and the scene would take an hour longer because we were laughing.
You will find the Three Amigos! Now this here is just a hilarious film. Three comedy legends, great script, great supporting cast, everything about it just great. So here is a piece done to help promote the movie and a profile on Steve Martin himself as an actor and a comedian. So both of these are going to go together in one video. Hope you enjoy.
He's one wild and crazy guy. But Marilyn Beck uncovers a serious side of funny man Steve Martin on tonight's evening.
Then what do you get when you put these three comics together?
We had the most fun I've ever had on a picture.
Chevy Chase, Steve Martin, and Martin Short share the fun of their new movie, Three Amigos.
And in our first story, we're going to enjoy the gift of one of America's funniest men.
I love this guy.
Every time he gets on stage, people can't stop themselves from laughing. I'm talking about none other than that wild and crazy guy, Steve Martin.
When Steve Martin rose to national attention 12 years ago,
Just a little burst of happy feet there.
he hit us over the head with his unique style of offbeat humor.
Okay, let's rip the place apart. Listen, if the police come, I want everyone to put on a balloon hat so they won't tell which one is me.
In 1975, his act became a big hit with audiences.
Hey, your zipper's open. We're having some fun now. Hey, do you realize how many polyesters died to make this?
Well, I'm rambling round. I'm a rambling guy.
He went on to garner 2 Grammys, several Emmys, and wrote a best-selling book. In 1979, his first movie, The Jerk, was an instant hit. What's the hardest part of being famous?
The money.
Can you remember when you thought, hey, I've made it, I'm a star?
I think it was being mentioned in the New York Times crossword puzzle. I think the clue was belly buster.
I went to Paris. This is really, let me warn you, okay?
In the beginning, it took Steve several years of small-time club performances to hit the show business limelight.
And it's really strange. Like, oh, here's an example. Over there, chapeau means hat. Oof means egg. It's like those French have a different word for everything.
When he's on, he's hilarious. But the fact is, once this wild and crazy guy removes himself from the lights and the applause, he's really shy and introverted. When did self-confidence come, or has it?
That comes and goes. Depends on what month it is. It depends on what you've done lately.
Do you find yourself more apt to sit in a corner quietly at a party than
It's
now?
difficult for parties for me.
What about?
I mean, unless it's your friends, you know. I find it hard making conversation.
Steve prefers to keep his personal life to himself. Last month's unannounced wedding to actress Victoria Tennant even surprised some of their friends. But as a box office draw, Steve is no secret. This month alone, he has 2 movies out. He makes a cameo appearance in The Little Shop of Horrors.
This piece continues on the musical number he does, Gonna Be a Dentist. But guess what? It got copyright claims, so had to cut it out.
What do you get when you put Martin Short and Chevy Chase and Steve Martin all together into one comedy? You get a very crazy movie called Three Amigos. Wherever there is injustice, you will find them. Wherever there is suffering, they'll be there. Wherever liberty is threatened, you'll find Steve Martin, Chevy Chase, and Martin Short.
Well, it's Mo,
Curly,
and
Shemp.
Well, not quite the Three Stooges, but in the new movie Three Amigos, you'll find these comedians bumbling around in real Stooges fashion.
There's a couple of scenes where we laughed so hard and it was always cut. And that scene would take an hour longer because we were laughing.
You! Ha! Up here! Up here! Up here! Whoop! Whoop! Ha! Ha! Go! 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 Hey, you guys!
When not running around in their underwear, the actors spent most of their time in the hot desert wearing their Three Amigos outfits.
Well, the costume was made entirely of wool and
It was 115
jujubes.
degrees here. So it was a little bit tough, but the hats were the problem because the hats were so heavy that if you turned your head very fast, you couldn't stop.
Steve Martin wore many hats in this film. Actor, executive producer, and co-writer.
You know, the scenes, because they're so flawless, as they were written, you know, we got a chance to add lines here and there, but we had to stick with the structure pretty much. Otherwise, you change the movie, and that's a little dangerous.
And if there were character changes that you felt, then certainly everyone was open to change.
In the movie, the comedians play three heroic silent film stars who were contacted by the lovely Carmen to save her Mexican village from the notorious bandit El Guapo.
Carmen, as you say, is the damsel in distress. Her character is very essential to the plot because it's through her that a lot of the action is initiated. In the beginning, it's because of her naivety. She's never seen a silver screen before. She really thinks that these three men exist. So she telegraphs them and they come, and it's because El Guapo kidnaps her. The Three Amigos are off on another journey. So, and also she is like the straight man in the comedy. So it's an essential part of a whole.
Quick! You must dress in his clothes. Then you will be able to move freely in the courtyard.
Finding El Guapo's hideout to save Carmen was one of the more difficult parts for the three heroes. They did have some interesting help from the singing bush.
Excuse me, are you the singing bush?
Let me talk to him. Excuse us. Are you the singing bush?
That is our favorite scene, the singing bush, just because the bush is so funny.
Actually, that's Randy Newman's voice through a synthesizer.
Yeah.
But Randy Newman wasn't the only one who got to sing in this film, for all three amigos got to show off their musical talents as well.
This was hit with a copyright claim, so I had to cut it out of the video. But I'm going to sing it for you. Blue shadows on the trail. Nah, just kidding.
Well, you have to admit that Steve Martin's style is all over Three Amigos, but it's not really surprising. He helped to write the screenplay about 5 years ago. It was originally designed to star Dan Aykroyd, John Belushi, and himself, but after Belushi died several years ago, the movie was put aside until now.
I always thought she was extremely gorgeous. I'm surprised she didn't become a bigger star. I mean, look at her personality, beauty, and she can deliver her lines. What more can you ask for? There's one piece of trivia some people do and do not know. Sam Kinison actually filmed a scene where he was a wild bushman, but it was deleted from the film, and guess what? They lost the footage. They have tried to find it to put it on DVDs and Blu-rays, but it's just gone. The production company, the studio, the guy serving coffee in the back, somebody just mislabeled it, lost it, or deleted over it. What a shame. Anyways, if you like these kind of videos, I have more on my channel, and I have more coming in the future. Stay tuned.